Okay. Good afternoon, Melbourne. Good afternoon, Australia, and good day or evening to all our international listeners as well. I'm Helen Taylor. Welcome to my show, Inspired Radio. I'm here with you every Monday, 4 p.m. Melbourne, Australia time, and Sunday, 11 p.m. Central Time, US and Canada, for conversations and stories to inspire you. This is BBS Radio TV platform, and we're going live to over 190 outlets worldwide at this time. Inspired Radio is all about change and getting uncomfortable and shaking up the status quo. We're breaking free from limiting systems and embracing our infinite potential. My guests are here to tell their story, to reveal how they have overcome change and made better lives for themselves and, of course, others. And they're here to inspire you with their stories. This show embodies the spirit of love, respect, and compassion. And with that in mind, let me introduce today's guest. We welcome Craig Cole. Now, most of you out there may know Craig Cole as the politician, the creator of Team Warrior Spirit, and a true champion for our children and young adults. His powerful voice has echoed across national events, rallies, and spiritual communities, standing strong for countless good causes. But who is Craig Cole beyond that public eye? Well, let's find out, will we? Welcome, Craig Cole.
Thank you very much, Helen, and I'm really humbled by that amazing introduction. Much gratitude for that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Who am I? Yeah, who am I? I'm just me. I'm not my name. I'm not my body. I'm not my meat suit. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, as all of us are. We're not a human being with a spirit. We're a spiritual being having a human experience. That's getting into the deep aspect straight off the bat, isn't it, Helen?
Oh,
But thanks for
let's
yeah.
just jump off the diving board, won't we, into the pool? Absolutely. So tell me,
Yeah.
how did you come to the conclusion that you're a spirit in a body? How did you come about that?
Just through years of actually, that's a good question. How did I come to that? You have an awakening, don't you? You have an epiphany. You have a sort of my whole life I've been sort of wondering, what's this all about? Why are we here? There's got to be more than just getting up, going to work, paying your bills, having a bit of fun here and there, and then retiring. And there's got to be more to life than that. And there is.
Well, that's certainly a start to it, isn't it? I mean, I think a lot of us have had that, the why. Why am I here?
Yeah,
Who are these people around me? What's going on?
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So I suppose it sort of really started to eventuate in 2019 when I started doing my meditations and trying to connect with that higher self, higher consciousness, that collective consciousness, the Christ consciousness, as we all know. And then it just, evolves from there. That's probably the easiest way to put it. I'm a pretty simple sort of person in terms of my explanations and my thinking. Complex in some instances when we're talking about strategy and whatnot and planning, but I think we are very simple. I think the more simple we can keep things, the more easier this journey is. I think we
that's a good
overcomplicate.
point. Mm.
Yeah, I think we
Yes.
people. One of our challenges and one of the things we've got to overcome is we're beauties at overcomplicating things. Excuse me, and overthinking things. We really are. And I think if you can, one of the ways to work around that is if you sit in presence and just every day practice being present and just focusing on what I'm focusing on now and not worry about what I've got to do in an hour's time or 2 hours' time, because that'll take care of itself. Okay. So I think a lot of people's anxiety comes from living in the future too much. I've got to get this done. I've got to get that done. And anxiety is born from scarcity, and I think, which is lack.
Well,
Most people.
I'm just going to put
Yeah,
that in a nutshell. What Craig's talking about here is this crazy thing called the mind, right? It's a crazy thing called the mind. It thinks linear, it thinks beginning, middle, and end. It thinks the outside world, it thinks busyness, it thinks detail. Yeah. And what you're
Yeah,
saying is that we should get into the present, which is our heart. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely, Helen. It's just to finish off, most people live in scarcity before their feet have even touched the floor for the day. The alarm goes off. Oh, I've got to get this done, this done, this done. I haven't got enough time. Lack, lack, lack. Already before your feet have even hit the floor for the day. So and it's really
Most people think that's normal. I mean, the
it's,
majority of
yeah.
people have been absolutely programmed or conditioned to believe that having busyness in their head and the world is normal.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not normal.
Mm.
It's just a matrix program that we've been programmed and indoctrinated to believe is life. Well, the beauty of that, Helen, like any program, we can rewrite it. We have the power to rewrite it. And you're the creator. And some people might say, well, what does that mean? Well, that's a good question. Okay. Well, it's just simple as that. You create your reality.
Mm.
Okay. Now, that's not being living in fiction and whatnot. That's just sitting in gratitude, sitting in presence is an everyday practice, and practice makes improvement. And you can reprogram yourself by practicing every day. And if you just, I think one of the key factors in that is having the ability to step back from yourself and view yourself like you're viewing someone else, and take care of yourself like you would take care of someone that you love. There's a lot of people pleasers out there that will bend over backwards and go that extra mile for everyone in their life, but when it comes to them, they don't do the same thing. Well, we've got to reverse that order. Now, I'm not saying don't look.
Let me just jump in there. That's another program. And like you were saying, okay, create your own program. Don't get caught up in other people's programs. There are personal programs, but there are collective programs. And the one you just spoke about as pleasing others is massive. If we saw ourselves, you know, those cartoons where you've got little bubbles coming from your head, there's a thought bubble, right? And it's got words in it. I kind of imagine us walking around in our own personal bubbles, but we get connected to other people's projected bubbles or collective big ones, like please everybody else, take care of everybody else. So we get caught up in them. Yeah.
And it's easy to do, and it's part of your programming you've received since childhood.
Mm.
It's and then you get the judgment come in, and what are people going to say? I mean, this person, part of the self-love thing, and that self-love is setting boundaries for yourself. It's okay to say no sometimes.
Well, are
you
you
know
talking from, I mean, we could do this as a, I know we can talk about team warriors, a team, sorry, am I going to get the word right? Team warrior spirit,
that's
right?
the one.
Thank you. We can start having a team warrior course right here and now. Or I'd like to hear, how did you come to this conclusion? Like, what did you have to do in your life to unplug? Because you're talking about programs. I became like my mum. I became like my dad, and that was only because I got caught up in their programs, right? So how
Mm.
do you disconnect from that? What did you do?
Read, read, and read. you
Yeah.
know um, Read people like Joe Dispenza,
Uh,
brilliant man. And so you'll take little bits that really resonate with you. Speak to. I'm a big believer. Everything I've achieved, in my life, I've achieved with it. My highest schooling qualification is a Year 9 pass. Okay,
okay.
so everything what you are seeing right now, I did this myself.
Yes.
Everything I've done myself. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I'll pick people's brains. When I started in the gym, I was just a skinny young kid. So I'm getting around. I'm going a long way to answering your question, Helen.
I love it.
Um,
I love it. I want to hear it.
Yeah, so when I started in the gym, I was just a skinny young fella. So I'd watch the bigger guys, how they trained, and then, respectfully go and ask them, oh, mate, I noticed you did that. Can I just ask you what, does that do and what's that help? So picking the bigger guys in the gym's brains. When I started working with children, if there was as a youth worker there, if there was a child psychologist that come out to the school that day, I would ask her if it was okay to sit down and have a coffee so I could pick her brains, get
Right.
some reference, get some reference material from her or him, and then go and study that. So I don't actually have the official fancy letters after my name, but I guarantee all these people that hold psychologist degrees and whatnot, I've read exactly the same textbooks as you have, probably a little bit more. So, it's just about learning from others and not being too proud, and not being, and just speaking and just asking questions. And that's, you want to know how I sort of arrived at this, and that's just being curious and just stepping out of that comfort zone and not being afraid to ask questions, not being afraid to challenge yourself, learning. And the more you learn, Helen, obviously, as you know, the more you do start to get in touch and that spark goes off. And when I say in touch with who you really are, not the
Internal.
version of you. Yeah, not the version of you think you are because of the matrix programming. There's a lot of people out there that think they are I'm this sort of person, I'm that sort of person. No, that's just a repeated behavior pattern you're addicted to. Okay,
Yes.
that's all it is.
Yeah.
And you, as we know, back to you are the creator. Well, it's time we started creating by reprogramming ourselves,
Firstly,
stepping
as
into
you
alignment.
say, by recognizing that we're programmed, firstly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that recognition is the first part of it. Exactly. Yeah.
Of course, you can't change anything unless you know there's something to change, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And what I hear from you, though, is what would relate to many, many people out there. You learned via experience. And when you experience, you internalize it, don't you? And it turns into, I know this and I know that. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, no judgment on self as well, too. When you're going through and reprogramming yourself, it's so easy to sit in judgment of yourself as well, too. You can't, and a lot of people will sit in judgment of themselves because they feel they're obliged to. Or it's, I did this bad thing back then. I made this terrible decision back 20 years ago, and I'm carrying that along with me as some, baggage that I'm feel obliged to carry along. Look, you did what you did. People do what they do because they do, because of the circumstances that they may be in their life, the trauma they're carrying in their life, the emotional responses that they have, or the emotion that they're carrying. But a lot of people get themselves into trouble. And I'm saying this with all due respect, there's no judgment here.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people get themselves into trouble because they look back at an event that might happen 10 years ago that they're not really that proud of. And what you got to remember, you did the best back then for the skill sets you had and the circumstances that were around you. Okay. And what you're doing is you're taking your current self and you're judging that person 10 years ago, that version of you 10 years ago, on your current mindset. No wonder people have their minds all, jumbled up and jumping all over the place and sit in that guilt. It's no, you've got to let it go. How much longer are you going to let that event from 10 years ago or 20 years ago still have power over you?
You define
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Yeah,
And what
stop.
you're saying is too, like, I mean, I see it as a person dragging this massive sack of stuff behind their back, right? And they're still carrying it around. And from a frequency or an energy point of view, it's like we are light, right? We are essentially light. And if you're carrying around a big sack of materialism, it's going to weigh you down, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
how did you let go of it? How did you start letting go of the past?
It's not an easy process, Helen. It's an everyday practice. Practice makes improvement. That's another. The good old practice makes perfect saying is implemented by the bad the bad people that we know have ruled the world for centuries. So I've changed it around. And when I run the youth life skills programs with the young people, we use practice makes improvement because I can measure improvement. I can't measure perfection. We can't measure perfection because perfection's subjective. And I'm not going to be able to celebrate the small wins along the way when you see yourself improving. So it's just, in answer to your question, it's just that everyday practice. I mean, I know these sound like simple answers, but like I said at the start, things are simple, and what we
Mhm.
and life is simple. What complicates it is us and
Well,
our minds.
what I hear is you're saying you are holding yourself accountable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely holding yourself accountable with zero judgment. It's funny, isn't it? We hold everything around us in life accountable. Oh, this person didn't do this to me. You go to a shop and you buy something, and it's, or you buy something online, and this isn't what I expected it to be. And well, how about having the conversations about yourself? And well, you didn't do what you said you were going to do, and you didn't fulfill on what you said you were going to do either.
Yeah.
So, before we hold, and it's the same as honesty, honest conversations with self, accountability. Once again, we get massively upset and disappointed when other people lie to us, and rightly so sometimes, but, we don't get upset when we lie to ourselves. Example being, oh, I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock tomorrow. The alarm goes off and you hit the snooze button. Well, you just
Yeah.
lied to yourself. You didn't follow through with yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just something simple as that.
Didn't
Yeah.
hold yourself accountable. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's,
It really takes, I mean, yeah, actually, the thought I just had, this whole world is inverted, right?
absolutely.
Yep. So it's again another inversion where you've got to actually place yourself number one. You've got
Yeah.
to look at your habits and your life and see what needs changing, because I used to call it the add-on symptoms, right? The add-on syndrome, where people would add something on, like, I want to have better health, or, better weight or something. I'll go to the gym. I'll go to the gym and then they add on things, but they don't take things out that need to go. They need to kick old habits to the curb, and they tend to just accumulate more stuff.
Yeah, and so then they add more stuff on, which then creates anxiety because there's not enough time in the day to get all this extra stuff done.
Mm.
So, like I said, once again, you got to, and that's the hard part about the evolution side of it, Helen, is the ditching and the shedding. Oh, but I really like doing that. Well, what's more important to you? What's the philosophy I use is what I want to do going to help me grow?
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, I
Yeah.
don't do it.
Okay.
Is being around this person, or being in the company of this group of people, is this going to help my growth? No, it's not. Yeah, they're really nice people, love them to death,
Mm.
but it's not going to help my growth. Okay, so bang, red line through that.
I think you've touched on a real nerve there too, right? Because in the last 6 years, particularly, time and time again, I've heard, as you would have, people outgrowing people, and that's family as well. So
Yeah,
it's been terribly, terribly difficult for a lot of people to kind of rationalize that and bring that into a new perspective, because the life, everything was shaken up for everybody, and people lost good friends and colleagues and family. So it's really difficult to come to terms with things like that. Yeah.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. And what helps me is, yeah, a lot of family and a lot of friends dropped off, but look at the soul family. A lot of people have gathered over the last 6 years as well too. So your family is only a family for this existence. Now, I'm not downplaying their importance, but you've had many families over many existences. Okay, and
And you've got to apologize, though, for saying things like that sometimes, because people get strongly identified with who they are and who they're connected with. And let's just soften the blow here. Look, we're not saying that's right or wrong. It's your choice. It's your,
yeah,
But you're absolutely right. All of us are starting to find other people in communities and groups that are feeling more like our family than some of our family ever have.
How good is it?
Yeah.
Seriously, how and you just know straight away. Like I remember the first time I spoke to you was just that comfort.
Yeah.
It's like I know this person, and we've known each other many existences, Helen, no doubt.
Mm.
And isn't it funny? Just another coincidence. A lot of coincidence, but it's such a coincidence that the people you've connected with over the last 5 years, and even that's expedited a little bit in terms of the last 2 years, the people that come into your life did just give you, I know you. You know what I mean? It's like it's an unspoken, and you don't even have to say it to the other person. It's just like an unspoken thing because there's that familiarity there. Well, why do they feel familiar? There's got to be a reason, and the reason is, well, we've done this dance before in a previous existence. Maybe not even doesn't even have to be in the same forms. It might have been a mother-father relationship, a partner relationship, a brother-sister, a cousin, a friend, or whatever. It could have been whatever. That's irrelevant. The fact is that you're having this connection with this life form again, with this existence
Mm.
that is going to benefit the greater good. And everything that I do is for two reasons: is for myself first, so I can make sure that I'm presenting as the best version I can be to help as many people for the greater good.
Fill
And
your fill
that's
your
my
cup
purpose.
up. Yeah, fill your cup first.
You
Absolutely.
have to.
Yes, of course. Of
Yeah.
course.
I mean, I know you know this, but
But I
yeah.
love I love what you're saying there too. I really do think there's a massive change on the horizon. It's already here. And your rule of thumb with, when you're meeting somebody, does it feel good? Is there's an instant connection? It's like that's how we should be. It should be our modus operandi, right? And we need to start tuning into those around us and predominantly stepping in the direction of what feels good
Yeah.
and what makes us happy and what fills us up, because that's how we should be naturally operating.
Yeah, and sitting with it as well too, not making judgment calls out of emotion as well too, showing a bit of discernment, having that ability to, that's really important, especially in these times, just to step back a little bit, view it, process it, yeah, okay, and just get that validation with your higher self.
And that's where people need to have a particular space in a day. Yeah, 5 minutes, just 5 minutes to stop and, I don't know, reflect at the end of the day, just to reflect on what your day has been all about. And we're saying this to busy minds out there, and the minds are going to be going, "Oh, I don't have enough time and I can't do that." But,
Uh,
you don't know what you don't know. Yeah.
that's a great point. You don't know what you don't know. And then when you start to find out, just it's a great point you make. I'm just too busy. I'm just too busy. Okay, I'm sure you are. But the more you start to step into your higher self and your true being and start to follow these processes that we've been talking about, what you'll find is that it really starts to become so addictive because life is just so, I won't say easier. You still have the same challenge, but you can handle that challenge and walk through that challenge a hell of a lot easier than the matrix programming version of you that you believe is yourself. Now, there's some elements to that yeah are great. It's like, well, I really like that version of me. I like this about me. Yeah, that's great. Just evolve that more
Mm.
and drop off the things that don't serve you anymore. Your addictions, your habits, but I've always, here's another one you'll love. Oh, but I've always done that.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And
Yes.
where's it got you?
Yes. And
You
you're
know?
spot on there. You're spot on. And this is for the people out there that are still hanging on to, what they think is comfortable, which is usually highly uncomfortable. But so many people are very comfortable with uncomfortable and problems and dramas and all of that stuff going on. They think that that is life, which is
Yeah.
why I just said before that when you can choose happy, you can choose better. And when you start connecting with people like you and I did, and thousands others are, you just go, I like hanging around with this person. We have good conversations. We have a good connection. And, for me, I even put out there pre-COVID that I only wanted kind, loving people in my life. And now here I am 6 years later, and that's all I have in my life. So we can create what we want instead of struggling with what we have and we don't want.
Now that's once again, so people say, well, you're the creator. What's that mean? Well, you've just given a clear example of one of the things that means.
Yes.
You create, it's like your life is like you have the ability. Well, I'm 57 years old, or I'm 65 years old. So what? Once again, it's you've been indoctrinated to believe that at certain stages of your life, you need to be doing certain things, or you can't be doing that because you're a certain age. Well, stuff that.
Yeah.
Seriously, who makes the rules on that? No one. Okay.
Part
You
of
make your own
programming,
rules. Pardon?
part of programming.
Part of the
Yeah.
programming. Exactly. I still remember the conversation I had with my mum because, as you can sort of imagine, Helen, school wasn't for me.
Yep.
Sit down, shut up, do the get stuffed. Seriously, all right. And we're not supposed to be doing that. And one of the things, just a bit of a side issue, one of the things that I'll be doing is with a team of people is completely rewriting the school curriculums.
Oh,
Okay.
hang on. Can we just celebrate that bit? Just everybody take a moment. We're already teaching them, Craig. We're teaching them to take a moment, right? Can you say that again?
Myself with a group of people, we will be completely rewriting the school curriculums.
Fantastic.
And it will include holistic teachings as well too,
Yep.
and getting in touch with your higher self. Now, the Japanese do it fantastically, I'm led to believe. I don't know if this is the case now, but once upon a time. So with Japan, what they do, the first 2 years of their schooling, which is grade prep and grade one, apparently, they don't do hardly any what you would consider normal work. It's all about learning how to be a good person, the culture, and respect, and getting out with nature. That's what they teach these kids. Now,
Wow.
at that age, as we know, Helen, as we know, that's very, very, very important years, especially when they're in grade prep and grade
They're
one.
the molding years, aren't they? Up until about 8, I think it is.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's when they're really in touch with themselves. That's when kids can actually see things that adults can't,
They
you
see
know.
the 99% that the rest of us can't see.
Absolutely. These kids, it's all about my imaginary friend, and parents go, oh, yeah, their imaginary friend, they're a bit, no, no, no.
Yes,
They're seeing something and they're hearing something.
absolutely.
Okay. So it's not an imaginary friend. It
Yep.
is an actual, being from another dimension that they can tune into.
Yep. All sorts of levels of spirits and entities, and even these thought forms, these programs that we're all creating, they see those as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So it's really important. So and I've sort of lost where we were.
I
With,
haven't. I haven't. So in those formative years,
yeah,
Japan are really keeping that direct connection with source for the children, source, God, whatever you want to call it.
yeah,
And they're helping them to strengthen that and channel their own creativity by the sound.
yeah, absolutely. So that curriculum will be completely rewritten because the way kids are now, gee whiz, I feel sorry for them, and it's the
Mm.
system that's done it to them.
Mm.
Um,
And when my kids were young, they had an innovative teacher when they were in about grade 2, I think it was, who brought meditation into the class. Yeah, yeah. So, and she also asked me, she knew from my kids that I was into crystals. And so she asked me if I'd come and talk to the kids about crystals. So I took some crystals into the class.
yeah, wow.
I decided to talk about dreams and I wanted to encourage the kids. And I told them that if they had a crystal and they put the crystal under their pillow at night and they told the crystal about their dreams and what they wanted, it would come true. And I just said to them that small dreams came true quicker, bigger dreams would take a little bit longer and they needed to be patient. So I bought all these crystals in and I was going to hand them out to all the kids. And during my talk, all the teachers started filing into the room and they were all standing at the back of the room, all listening to me talk to children about crystals. It was so cool.
That
And the
is
next thing
amazing.
after I'd finished the talk, it was the teachers that wanted to come up and hold some crystals. And they were all amazed that some of them they got really warm and that some people felt tingly. And to me, it was just a wonderful opportunity, but it's rare. It's really rare.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's an amazing story, and the reason, from what you've just explained, why they felt that sensation when they held the crystals is because they were open to it.
Yeah.
Okay, they didn't have their minds closed off.
Yeah.
They were open minds. Anything's a possibility. Okay, so that's excuse me. It's really important to have that mindset as well too. And once again, it's in every, oh well, I can't do that, I'm just the way I am. Okay, no worries, good luck with that. Every day it's a practice. You're not going to just, if I could walk around and sprinkle fairy dust everyone and poof, there you go. I would actually, no, I wouldn't, because people have to go through that journey themselves. And the journey is, and people are all looking for a destination and a place to get to, and I've got to raise my vibrations to this level and blah, 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 blah. Stop. For God's sake, stop. I mean, those intentions are fantastic, okay, but you are looking out in the distance when the destination's right there. You're the destination, you're the reason, you're the purpose. Everything you have and everything you need is already there. You just can't see it because of all the fog of the limiting belief statements and the programming that you've held on to, and the fog of all your like I said, your limiting belief statements. So, working through step by step, unpacking those limiting belief statements, and then just, unlocking the chains one by one that hold you back. Because the destination's you. You're the reason, you're the purpose, and it's an everyday practice, every single day practice. And some days, excuse my language, you're going to fuck up, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We are humans. I love one of Jordan Peterson's quote: "Humans are like a chimpanzee full of snakes," and he's not too. It's not a bad
Well,
analogy,
I had
actually.
another way of looking at it too. I learned at one stage to play the fool. I embraced the idea that I was an idiot. And I've got to say to people out there, when you're working in a team of some sort, and everybody's trying to be responsible and do their job the best, and all that sort of stuff. And I decided that I was just an idiot and I didn't know how to do anything anymore. And I embraced mistakes and being corrected and all those sorts of things. And I found it was wonderful because everybody wants to correct you and everybody wants to show you how to do it right. And that left me with nothing to do.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got about half a dozen people in your ear telling you how to do it right, with six different ways to do it.
Yep.
No wonder people's heads feel like they're getting pulled left, right, and centre everywhere.
But there's
You know,
all these
and
people that just want to be right. And I'm like, well, go ahead and do that. But as you said just before, you need to be open, right? You need to be open. That was such an important point because if you're not open to change and to learning, it's not going to come.
if you're the same person you were a year ago, what are you doing, or what
Mm,
aren't you doing? You
And
know,
how's that affecting you? Because just staying in your current cycle affects us all in some way because energy is always trying to evolve us, better us. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And it's people, and a lot of part of that is doing the inner work, and people will dig their heels in, throw the anchor out, and balk at it. It's easier than you think.
Yes.
Just It's a lot easier than you think if you don't sit in judgment of yourself, for
Yep.
starters, and you hold yourself accountable without the judgment.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's the risk of repeating myself. Excuse me, I'm speaking about repeating myself. I should have scoffed something down really quickly to eat before I got on, Helen. So apologies for that. Lesson learnt. Yeah, I was just a little bit late getting back from the gym today. But what was I going to say? Just lost my train of thought there for a sec. Sorry. Yeah, just the no judgment with the self. It's a lot easier. Now, I know some people have had traumatic experiences and there's some things you can't unsee. I get that. Okay. But with all love and respect, how much longer are you going to let that incident have any control or ruling over your life?
Well, it's a paradigm that you are trapped in. Yeah. And you're going to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. It's like cycles of being, domestically abused. I mean, I found that personally. I watched it with my parents. I saw it happening around me and I ended up being part of it. It was the
Yeah,
only way I knew how to have a relationship. And I didn't even know it was running me
yeah.
until I did.
No,
And
you don't.
yeah, and then you choose something different. So, how long are you prepared to sit in trauma and live it over and over?
And a big part of that, and unpacking all of that, is stepping out of yourself and viewing yourself like you're viewing someone else.
The observer.
Absolutely, because this isn't you.
Yes,
And there'll be people sitting, it's what you think you are, but it's not. Okay, you're
yes.
not your mind.
It's a
You're
big
not your,
pill to swallow.
it is. You're not your thoughts. You are what observes your thoughts.
Mm,
That's the true version of you. You're
yeah.
not your meat suit. Okay, it's
But you take care of it. It's a body and
oh,
you take care of
absolutely. Well, that's part of that self love. I mean, this is my vessel that I've incarnated in.
it.
Absolutely, I've got to look after it. Absolutely, it's part of that self love. But there'll be people listening to this and oh, this spiritual stuff, it's all woo woo. Okay, right, no worries. I'll ask you this. All right. Do you believe even the most ardent people, that sort of don't buy into that spirituality, it's all woo woo and blah blah, and do you have a soul? Let's just take it right back to square one. Do you have a soul? Tick. Yes. Do you have a spirit? Yes. Tick. Okay. Fantastic. What do you think that looks like?
Mhm,
That's all you need to say.
mm.
Just leave it there. Let them process the rest. As I said at the beginning, we are a spiritual being having a human experience, not
Well,
the
I
other
think
way.
I think you've really hit on something there because even if somebody doesn't want to tick the box about soul or spirit, just because they've ask the question, people, because this thing is a feedback system. And I know that if you start asking questions about something, it will come across your desk. And in
Absolutely.
a conversation, in a book, in something online, just ask the question and find out for yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's the energy, as you know, energy attracts energy. And whatever energy you're putting out is going to come back your way.
Yes, it's going to mirror back. Outside is a mirror, right? And if you don't like what you're seeing, well, you better change from the inside because
Change the channel.
you can't change the mirror on the out. You can't change the mirror. It's
No.
it's like looking into a mirror and pulling an ugly face and then
Mm.
saying, "I want the mirror to smile." Well, you
So,
smile first.
yeah, exactly. So operate on a different frequency. It's like changing the chan- the
AM to FM.
changing the frequency on your radio station.
Yeah,
Okay, it's like a crap song comes on that you don't like, you quickly flick the station over. All right, well, crap things are happening in your life that you don't like. Flip the station.
that's
Operate on a
it.
new frequency.
Perfectly said. Thank you very much.
Pretty easy, you know.
Absolutely.
No, no, but I like this. Okay, people get the reason. My experience is over 20 years of youth work and also mindset strategy as well,
Mhm.
is people really balk at stepping out of their comfort zone into the unknown. Okay,
Yes.
but my question is, how, if it's the unknown and you don't know it, how can you be afraid of something that you don't know?
Mm. The mind will have an answer for that. The mind has a whole heap of ghoulies and ugly stories and fearful things
Oh,
to
and then you attach the archons and the dark entities that attach themselves to you as well and feed into your thoughts. So that a lot of people are thinking that, why am I thinking this? How could I be thinking this? It's not you.
yeah,
Okay.
well, remember those bubbles that I spoke about that are in the
Yeah.
cartoons that come out of your head? Well, I mean, there are different names for archons and demons. They can be egregores and pendulums and programs. Let's just categorize them all as, if we're
Parasites.
and parasites, if our thoughts, negative, corrupt, ugly thoughts all become a big bubble, well, that can tap into you and you can go from having one nasty thought and all of a sudden you're lost in nasty thoughts of, that pendulum, and it can take you over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important about just being aware of your emotional state.
Who you, yeah,
Awareness emotional states is like, okay, I'm feeling angry right now. Okay, that's interesting. What's triggering me? All right.
well,
And
Joe Dispenza talks about this, where it just starts with a thought, and the thought creates chemicals, right? And the thoughts create some behavior, and then that behavior turns into an attitude over time.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. So what do? Change your thoughts.
Yes.
Okay. New thoughts create new choices create new behaviors generate new experiences generate new emotions, and then away you go off on a better hamster wheel,
Yes.
rather than having the same thoughts, creating the same emotions, creating the same experiences, the same behaviors. And
Yeah.
you wonder why. And as people feel, I just feel like I'm on a wheel just going around and around. Yeah, it's because you're doing it with your
Yeah.
thought process. Okay.
Yes. And you've
You
got
wonder,
to stop, like we said, at least 5 minutes in a day to either start your day off, like when you were talking about it before, I was thinking, just at the beginning of the day, just be open to some adventure instead of stepping into the unknown, just an adventure.
yeah, excited. Yeah, yeah, it's a good way to put it, actually, Helen. It's like stepping into the unknown. No, I'm having an adventure.
Yeah, what's going to happen today? I mean, that's how I started doing it by go, there's got to be a bit of magic there somewhere. Where is it? I'm open to seeing where that bit of magic happens.
Yeah, but I think you can create your own magic as well too, with setting your intentions at the start of the day as well too. I mean, what's your strategy? I mean, this is, oh, just bear with me. People go over, you just come back from Italy, all right? But
Yep.
people go overseas and they plan their holidays meticulously. They've got a strategy. You're setting up a business and you'll have a business plan and you'll strategize and you'll market and all the rest of it. Every aspect of our life we have a strategy around, except the most important thing, and that's ourself. What's your strategy for yourself? What's your game plan for yourself? Okay,
Sure.
what's your, it's like, if you're not setting your intention at the start of every day, you're just waiting for the day to happen to you like an accident. Now, I'm not talking about the physical tasks that you have to do. I'm talking about your mentality and your mindset behind those tasks, behind that encounter. You got a business meeting in the afternoon. Oh, there's a couple of people in there that generally trigger me. Okay, what's my strategy about that? Now, a strategy is not, well, I'll go into that meeting and I'll show them. Yeah, that really works well for you, doesn't it? Because that's sitting in ego. All
Yeah.
right. No, no, no. What's your strategy and how you're going to counter that? Okay. Now, once you step out of that meeting and then doing your reflections, because if you're not doing your reflections at the end of every night, it only has to be 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be a full on synopsis.
Yeah.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
5 minutes at the end of every night,
Yeah.
reflect on your day. Okay. So you go through your day and you think, oh, yeah, I could have done that a bit better. No judgments once again. Uh,
Absolutely.
I could have done this a bit better. I could have blah, blah, blah. But always finish with the things you did well. Now, even if, I didn't do much well for the day. You're not thinking clearly enough, okay? Doing something well is having an encounter with a person where you would normally get triggered by that situation. You didn't get triggered as much. That's a massive win.
Well,
That is a massive thing.
even them sitting down and reflecting for the day.
Bang. There's a win as
Congratulations.
well. Yeah.
And I call it, if you don't plan life, life plans you,
Bang. That's a great one. Let's get that
right?
on bumpers. I like that, Helen. That's a
Right?
great one. Yeah.
Because if you don't plan life, then life will plan you by default. And
Yep.
the default is the programming. So that's what we call accidents and mistakes and things like that. And that's just a feedback system because you're not taking control.
Correct. Now,
Yeah.
once again, taking control is being the creator.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
do I be the creator? We all hear these nice little sayings, you are the creator. Okay. I think we've given about half a dozen examples in this chat so far on how to be the creator, at
Yes.
least.
Yes.
You create your reality. Oh, but I've got my kids, I got my husband, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it doesn't matter. You be the example. There's that old saying, be the difference that you want the world to be, or words to that effect.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes.
It's as
Yes.
simple as that.
Well,
Okay. So
because we all have an aura, don't we? We all have an energy field. And if you're charging that energy field in a different way, then, I love to see us all as bubbles walking around and we just rub past each other as we do. And, just being fully charged yourself can uplift others around you. We all know what it's like to talk to somebody who's shitty and depressed, right?
we love those people. We feel sorry for them. But yeah, just interesting you say about charging yourself. Here's one for people to ponder. I'm not going to extrapolate on this. I'm not going to say anything more. I'm just going to say what I'm going to say now and
Yep.
leave it there. Right now, if you want to expand on that, fantastic. But question to everyone out there: have you got more concern about charging your phone or charging yourself?
I love that. Can I just applaud that?
Because if you've got more concern about charging your damn phone than yourself, you need to reassess with all due respect.
Yeah.
Okay. How do I recharge myself? Get out in nature for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Take your shoes and socks off. Walk on the ground. Recharge. Stop. Sit and just be for 5 minutes. It's a great way to recharge yourself. Now, if everyone's not doing that at least once a day, like I said, with all due respect, it's probably a big part of the reason why you feel life is so heavy for you at the moment.
Well, everybody needs to also, well, everyone out there will know that if you go out into nature and you go for a walk, think about the the way you felt before you did it and after you did it. There's a reason why people feel better when they go for a drive or a walk into the country and all that sort of stuff.
Go down the beach. If you live in a bayside suburb, go for a walk
Absolutely.
on the beach and stand in the water for 5 minutes, just up to your
Absolutely.
ankles. You don't have to go fully in. Just submerge your feet in your ankles and just stand there and just breathe.
Take in a few deep breaths.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That's a
absolutely.
great point. It's a great, because all of our lifestyle, our modern lifestyle charges us in all sorts of different ways, from our technology to, our lifestyle and things. And when we go out into nature, we discharge it. And people may not realize that.
Yeah, correct. So if you're placing more emphasis in more importance than and more concern in charging your phone and then charging yourself rather than charging yourself, I'd politely suggest that you reassess.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
you can hear it. Oh, my phone's I've only got 10%. Is who's got a charger? Who's got a charger? It's,
right.
it's like
I'll go back to where we started. This whole bloody thing's inverted, isn't it?
it is absolutely. But no one gets in a panic that I haven't charged myself. I haven't charged myself. I haven't taken any. No one gets in a panic over that. But
Yeah,
they
and
get in a panic.
actually, that's why the body is a feedback system too, right? That's why people get neck pain or headaches or stomach aches and all sorts of different things. The body's trying to go, enough, enough. Take me to the forest or the beach.
Oh, your body, if you don't listen to your body, it'll, which is, listening to source, listening to spirit. Spirit's got a really lovely way of doing things. First, you'll get the little polite tap on the shoulder.
Yep,
Then, if you ignore that, you'll get a little whisper in your ear.
yep.
Then, if you ignore that, you'll get a over the back of the head.
That's
Then if you ignore that, then you'll get a punch in the face.
Yeah. And I say the same thing, but I say a tap on the shoulder, a smack on the side of the head, and then a Mack truck comes right through the life. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, excuse me. I'll take the punch in the face over the Mack truck, Helen, because
Yeah.
I
Because
probably.
I think we've all experienced a Mack truck coming through our lives, right?
Oh, you think just on a
You
few
think?
occasions,
Just a
yeah,
few times. And I don't want anybody to have to go through those sorts of things. So they don't have to. Pay attention.
yeah. That's an interesting concept, isn't it? Do they have to? But some
No,
people, yeah,
no.
yeah.
It's there, but yeah, if you wake up and start listening to some of the things we're saying, you may avoid one.
Oh well, yeah. Gee whiz, it's some of the things that happened in your life. You look back, and there'll be everyone can resonate with this for their own different reasons. But you'll look back and you'll think, geez, look where I've come from since then. You
Yes.
know?
And what I find with most people I interview and connect with, you've all lived a myriad of different lives in this lifetime. You've reinvented yourself a number of times.
Over and over again.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And that's sort of this quest of trying to figure something out, do something.
Yeah.
Mm?
Yeah. Just practice it every. Gee whiz, I look back at myself now in my late early 30s and mid 30s and to the version of me that's now, and you could not get polar opposites, Helen.
Yeah, and I think that's significant, don't you? That somewhere in the mid 30s, something starts to shake up our status quo where we're not happy with the norm. Yep. And we're starting to outgrow something. Mm.
Yeah. Well, for me, just sorry, I'll just go back when you first asked, when I sort of started to switch on to who you really are. I think the epiphany started even before that, 20 years ago when I started working with youth. People, and this is not an ego statement, people say, oh, you're so good working with the kids, Craig. It's like, well, am I? It's like, I'm just being me, I'm just,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
real, the feedback was great, but I don't do it for the feedback. It's just, and I wouldn't bullshit the kids. It's just like, because I talk to, and this is where a lot of youth workers and a lot of people that work with children get it so wrong. Just talk with them, to them, not at them.
And
Big
listen.
difference.
And
Yeah,
mm,
and the most important part of that is, as I was going to finish off with, is bloody listen. You know, it's
mm,
like it drives me insane. These agencies, we've got a big Indigenous youth crime problem up in the North Queensland
yeah.
because these imbeciles don't know how to work with these Indigenous children.
Mhm.
They stop telling them what to do and start asking them what they need and how they can work with them. They just don't. And
And
anyway,
and you need people a little bit even more educated than that because sometimes when you've got people that have been oppressed or even suppressing stuff, they don't even know what they want. You need to have people who are
correct,
compassionate enough and hold a space where that they can encourage them to, you know,
correct.
even, and that doesn't just apply to those kids. That applies to a whole heap of adults, the general population out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So
If
yeah,
you
so you
ask them
give
what
it
they want, they say, I don't know.
correct. Now, but at least you've asked the question. Okay, you don't know. All right. Well, how about considering this, this, and this, and then unpack it and let them know what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I
Um,
think most people do know because I think that's what fantasy and dreaming and, kind of daydreaming and those sorts of things. I think they're things that they're spaces that we navigate to when we're trying to deal with pressure and stuff in the outside world. I think we all daydream and visualize what we would like, but we've never had to put it in words and tell somebody, and it can seem a bit scary or unobtainable as well.
um, yeah, yeah, definitely. There's that aspect, and also add to that is that embarrassment of just
Yeah.
not being free to express yourself
Confident. That's
because
good. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, because you're worried about people might judge you.
Here
You
we
know,
are back to that word again.
and
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it's so simple. Just judgment is one of the things that they've woven into the matrix that just destroys people.
It
It
does.
really does. It's where yeah, we'll save that for another time, Helen,
Yeah,
because
we will, because I mean, we've all got our internal judge, haven't we? And that far outweighs a lot of other outside judges. Do you know what I mean?
the internal judge can actually be absolutely brutal if
Yes.
you let it, because it's just a constant loop and it constantly plays. And everything you do, you've got that internal judge in the back of your head.
Mm.
For a lot of people, and it's sad to see. But once again, it's just, I know I've said this a couple of times now, but having that ability just to just stop, take a couple of breaths. 3 breaths generally works well, something in that number. Power of 3. Nikola Tesla was all over it. 3, 6, and 9. That's the power of the universe. But another story for another time, Alex. But just stop, man. Just stop, stop, stop. Step out of yourself, okay? Recognize your thoughts. As I said earlier, you're not your thoughts, you're what observes them. You're not your mind, okay? You are that version, you are that light, that higher self. That's who you are.
Yeah.
And everything else, you can basically, everything you think you know to be a truth, wipe it off the board and start again, because we have been lied to and deceived since day one. Here's one for you. Here's completely off topic. Now, you want to talk about this nonsense of climate change and global warming and renewable energy and blah, blah, blah. We had that a couple of 100 years ago. It was called Tartaria, free energy from the ether. Okay, we drew it. Okay, so you want to anyone that's bought into this climate change nonsense. All right, well, let's revisit Tartaria. Let's get that infrastructure back up again, and we'll have all the free energy that you bloody need.
Yes. And I think
And
it's all starting to squeeze out back at us in different
yeah,
ways.
yeah, it is. It is. That's another thing that once again, bit of a sidebar, but just when you are doing your pondering and your thinking out there, just have a think about all these amazing buildings that have been built in the 1700s and 1600s, and where there were no power tools, dirt roads apparently, horse and cart. How did they build them?
Well, and
What with
also the fact that we were writing with feathers, and even toilet paper hadn't been invented yet.
well, you just come back from Italy, Helen. I mean,
I
the
what
amazing
I looked at some of
buildings
these
over
buildings.
there.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And I said to the people that were with me, how did all this marble get put up there? Where's the closest marble? Oh, it was, hundreds of kilometers away. So how did they get it here by horse and cart in a time where we had mud roads, horse and cart, and we were writing with feathers?
And
Everyone around me didn't have an answer.
no, and how did they get the granite up that high on wooden
All of that.
scaffolding and rope pulleys?
All of that. All of
Physics
that.
will tell you that structure, wooden scaffolding and rope pulleys, would not have been able. It's physically impossible to get that load up that high with rope pulleys and wooden scaffolding.
And we're going to have to leave it at that because we've got like 30 seconds to go.
Is that right?
Absolutely. And you were wondering what we were going to talk about. You and I always find things to talk about, don't
Geez,
we?
we can chat. Seriously.
Absolutely. And
I love
I
it.
hope, people that you've been enlightened by what Craig's had to say and what this conversation has revealed. Just take 5 minutes out for yourself and just ask the question at the end of the day. Tell everybody what you told me that you say at the end of the day before you go to sleep.
I remember. Say it 3 times. I remember. You want to smash the matrix. Okay, that's one way to smash the matrix and smash the programming. And the more people that put into that, I remember. They do not want you to remember everything that has been implemented in your life since the second you were born is about you not remembering. Okay,
And
so
that's
we're going
that's a
to,
great point. So we're co-creating a
yeah,
new program or a new paradigm. I
absolutely.
remember.
I
So
remember.
yep, 3 times at night out loud before you go to sleep. Let's collectively start something. Yeah. Craig Cole,
You
thank you.
watch the difference to, sorry, Helen. Yeah, you watch the difference to your dreams when you do that too.
Good point. Good point. All right, Craig, it has been a pleasure as always. Thank you so much. And yes, we will come back to do Tartaria and other topics as well. And thank you to all the listeners out there. Thank you so much for your support and for listening. Tune in next week. See you.